Hi, welcome to Seattle Maritime Works. I'm Heather Hoagland, Vice President of McKinley Research Group, as well as President of the Seattle Propeller Club. With me today is American Waterways Operators President and CEO, Jennifer Carpenter. Let's start with telling us a little bit about American Waterways Operators. What are you guys about?
Absolutely. So I think our strategic plan says it really well. AWO is the tugboat, towboat, and barge industry's advocate, resource, and united voice for safe, sustainable, and efficient transportation on America's waterways, oceans, and coasts. So we represent the people who own and operate tugboats, towboats, and barges, who keep our nation's commerce moving, who provide fantastic jobs, careers for people throughout this country, who are critical parts of not only the supply chain, but the security and really the environment of this country.
Wonderful. And as you know, Washington is hugely dependent on maritime. So on behalf of our state, thank you for all you do. Can you tell us a little bit more about your top priorities right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So AWO has been around. I have to put in a plug. This is our 80th anniversary. We were formed in 1944, and there are some sort of perennial pillars that our work rests on. And then they, have kind of contemporary manifestations depending on what's going on in the world. So from the inception, we have been staunch supporters of the Jones Act. The Jones Act is the law that says cargo moving between U.S. ports has to be transported in vessels that are U.S. owned, U.S. built, U.S. crewed. That has been important to the economy and the security of our country really since the founding. There are new challenges, new dimensions to that, but Jones Act. Second, if the Jones Act is kind of the statutory infrastructure on which the industry operates, we rely on the physical infrastructure, the ports, the waterways, the effective and efficient management of them. So making sure that our waterways, that we have the investment that keeps our waterways navigable, safe, efficient, environmentally sustainable, that is critically important. And that we are able to deal with challenges, whether that is drought on the Mississippi River, whether that is finding safe ways for renewable energy sources like offshore wind farms to coexist safely with marine traffic. That is an important part of our mission, that port and waterways infrastructure. And then third, we need to make sure that we have risk-based regulation that ensures that everybody in the industry is operating safely, is operating with a high degree of environmental sensitivity, and that we're doing that in a way that keeps commerce moving. And so that making sure we've got sound, effective regulation is an important part of our mission as well.
Excellent, thank you. I have a question near and dear to my heart as a researcher. Can you talk a little bit more about the role of tug and barge in our country's economy, how it interacts with other industries?
Yes, it's just huge. So every year, barges move nearly 700 million tons of cargo in the domestic commerce of the United States, whether that is along the West Coast, between the West Coast and Hawaii or Alaska, whether that is up and down the inland river system. Tugboats also facilitate the transportation of millions of tons more commodities. Think of all the big ships that come into and out of U.S. ports every day carrying international commerce, and they are assisted by tugboats, which help them get into and out of port safely.
Yes, that's really interesting how that works. I do want to touch on a hot topic for everyone right now, environmental sustainability, and so much has been done in the maritime industry to address this issue. Can you tell us about the tug and barge activity and environmental sustainability these days?
Absolutely. So, we start as the most environmentally sustainable mode of freight transportation. From an emissions standpoint, towing vessel transportation produces 43% less greenhouse gas emissions than rail, more than 800% less than truck. Let me be clear, all modes have a place here, but we start from a very strong position, and we are committed to continuing to drive that impact down. So we are working to support our members at sort of every stage of their sustainability journey, whether that is making sure that companies that are investing in sort of cutting edge technology, hybrid electric tugboats, vessels fueled by alternative propulsion, that they are able to do that and that we are all able to learn the lessons. At the same time, we want to support companies who may never have a business case for something like an electric tug, but if they had access to some funding that could support them in upgrading an engine to a next tier and reducing their emissions profile, that would be good for the system overall. So we want to help everybody get better.
Wonderful. Yeah, you probably know Seattle is a real epicenter of environmental sustainability practices in maritime. So if you haven't come out to visit us lately and checked out some of our innovations here, I invite you. It's pretty exciting. That's
It
wonderful.
really is.
What are you most excited about looking forward to the future for maritime and tug and barge specifically?
You know, I have said, I feel like our industry has never been more relevant. I think if we just sort of look at the array of challenges that our country faces, our industry is really well positioned to be part of the solution. Whether we are talking about security in a world that is dangerous and interconnected and unfortunately full of security threats, knowing that we've got the means of securing our own commerce is critically important. When we look at supply chain, I think we all got a crash course in the importance of the supply chain, the economics of the supply chain during the pandemic. Tugboats, towboats, and barges kept cargo moving throughout that period and beyond. They didn't stop. They weren't queued up. They weren't not coming to work. They were working every day to keep vital commerce moving. And so those supply chain concerns, I think our industry is really well positioned. You mentioned environmental sustainability. We're all on a quest to be more environmentally sustainable, whether we're talking about greenhouse gas emissions, whether we're talking about underwater noise, all sorts of things, whether we're talking about the development of new sources of clean energy like offshore wind. Our industry, the domestic maritime industry, is going to be a huge enabler of these new sources of energy. That is really exciting. And then workforce, I got to mention workforce. Our industry is a tremendous source of careers for folks who want to get out and do something meaningful, who maybe feel like, man, sitting behind a computer all day would kill my soul. Well, get out on the water. You have an opportunity to do something which is incredibly important, which is remunerative. You can make a great living, and which really positions you to be part of all kinds of new things opening up. Again, whether that's new markets like offshore wind, LNG transportation, there's just a lot going on that you can be part of.